going to do here is we're going to calculate our segments and assign people to cohorts based off of where they are. So what I've got here on this cohort 1 tab is our logins metric. What I've done is I've created a percentile for each member based off of the number of logins they have. So in the bottom logins here, the bottom group, we've got between 0 and 5 total logins over the last 6 months. We can see that there are about 900 or so members that had that few of logins over the last 6 months. And of those 900, 460 actually canceled their membership. So that's about a 50% churn rate for that decile. If we kind of go to the other extreme here, and the highest bucket, so these people had between 45 and 50 logins in the last 6 months. There's about a little bit more than 1,000 people in that bucket, and only 54 of them canceled their memberships. It's about a 5% rate here. And what we're looking for is a sort of downward sloping or some sort of pattern that makes sense here when we graph that. So churn rate to decile. And we kind of see that nicely in this graph here. So when you see this, you can understand that this would be an effective way to segment your members and be able to target them. But what's the benefit of that segmentation and doing that targeting? We have another way of calculating our churn here, which is our cumulative churn. So in this column E, what I did was there's 907 people that had 5 or fewer logins. Of those 907, 460 churned. What we're actually doing with this cumulative churn rate is we're saying, of the 460 people that in this decile that churned, what percentage of the total number of churn is that? And it's about 19%. Likewise, for this number of people, so there's 907 people in this bucket, but we have 10,000 members. So it's about 9% of our total members are in this bucket. And what that gets us is if we target only 10% based off of this decile, we can capture 20% of our total churn. So 20% of all people who left are in only 10% of the members when we actually sort by logins. And what you can do is you can see the effectiveness of this here. And by the time we get to about 50%, we're capturing 75% of our total churn. It gets less and less effective as you go all the way down. So you want to find a cutoff where you're kind of calculating you're getting more bang for your buck. 50% to capture 75 is probably around there. But if you targeted only here, if you targeted only 900 people out of your full 10,000, you'd still capture 20% of your total churn rate. So let's see what that looks like for a few other of our cohorts. So if I come over here, this is comments of the last 6 months. So if we remember back to when I was creating the box plot, we saw that it was kind of predictive, but not super. And you see this here. It's not a nice line. It's kind of squiggly. It still has that downward trend, but it's not very effective. There's kind of flat points along here. That would make me think there's something that's not very useful about this. And we can actually see that when we come to our cumulative churn calculation. So if you remember on our previous tab, we got to 75% by reaching 50% of our total members. Here it takes us to get up to 60% to reach that same 75. So we're actually getting less bang for our buck if we segmented our members by comments on the forum. So you might not want to throw this away, but you might want to use these people after you do the logins, segment it this way second. Let's look at CEUs. This seems to be much more effective. So here we've got our cumulative total number of members around 38% to get us to that same 75. So before with logins, it took us 50%. Here we're under 40 to get to that. So I would say this would be a much more effective way to segment your members in a way that you can target how to contact them. And you know how to contact them because the metric is CEUs. So here you grab, say, the bottom quarter decile here. So you take everybody in this bottom quarter decile in your new data, and you could contact them and say, hey, add some new CEUs, take some courses, webinars, whatever you offer for that, maybe even offer them a discount to be able to do so, to kind of drive that metric and target them in that way.